everybody to Survive in Advance on the Gruely True Sports Network. I'm your co-host for Survive in Advance, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I'd like to welcome in my co-host, 1981 national champion with the Indiana Hoosiers, a member of the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame. Help me welcome to the show, Steve Risley. How you doing today, Steve?
It's a great day. We get to talk to a legend today. Are you kidding me? What a great way to start the week off. I'm excited.
It's a great day because you're in California and you're probably about 50 degrees warmer than it is where I'm at.
I saw 6 degrees in Indiana. I looked up Fishers, Indiana, and it said 6 degrees.
Oh, yeah, it was 55 here Friday, and then Saturday we got like 3 inches of snow. Yeah.
Oh, well. I don't miss that part of Indiana at all.
It's funny to you. All right, we got a couple special guests today. First, from the FF Face-Off, help me welcome to the show, Anthony Cervino. How you doing, Anthony?
I'm doing great, guys. How are you?
All right, and of course now, this is my favorite part of the show because, you know, Randy, Steve Risley is always sending us pictures of his national championship ring, and today he can't ask our guest the question when he gets mad at him. How many rings do you have? Help me welcome to the show a man with 3 Super Bowl rings, 3-time Pro Bowler, a member of the College Football Hall of Fame, Randy Cross. How you doing, Randy?
I'm doing great. About as good as I can do with my clothes on.
All right.
Oh, that's TMI.
Oh, we just taught Steve what TMI meant last Friday, so.
Yeah, I did. I did not know what TMI meant, so now I know. So it's like, so I've used it all weekend on my wife.
You'd know it intimately if you worked with me very often.
Well, you sound like you'd fit in with us then, Randy. All right. Let's start off. Let's talk about the Combine because I know I always bitch about the Combine on here. What's your takes on the importance of the Combine, Randy?
Well, I think, specifically, if you look at the Combine in its entirety, there are certain indispensable parts of the Combine. The ability to perform under pressure, I think it tells you a little bit of something about that. I think it tells you a lot about the personalities when you get to interview them and stress guys out a little bit. And, it seems infantile that you have to do that to a lot of people, but, I think that interview process is really important. And you really can get a firsthand judge. The only people that have it better are the coaches that get to coach the Senior Bowl because they get to see these guys on a daily basis in a classroom, on the field. So they really know how they're going to react socially. But you get a pretty good picture at the Combine as far as how these guys get along with other players and other people. And, their own little set of red flags could come up during that time.
All right, so when you look at this draft, I mean, to me, the linemen, especially the defensive linemen, but the offensive linemen also, I think this is a really deep draft on the line.
Yeah, it is. It's proving. I think it's really measuring up to be probably the best one they've had in a good while. At least a decade or so. When you look at the quality of talent on the O and D lines, I hesitate to use the term the depth because the depth to me usually means we got a lot of really good guys, but we don't have any great ones. But on both sides of the line of scrimmage, it would appear you've got at least a handful of guys that could potentially be the all-pro type linemen. And, every year there's 1 or 2. Some years are maybe 3. I think right now you've got the potential on both sides to have 5 or 6 guys that can be those kind of linemen.
All right, so when you look at this, we'll start off with you, the offensive line. Just tell us a couple names of guys that really impressed you.
Well, I think I start with the offensive tackles, and I don't really give 2 flips about right, left, whatever, because I don't think that matters anymore. But I love what Jawan Taylor is continuing to show. I think a guy like Greg Little, Cody Ford's going to be somebody that's going to be, incredibly tough. I think people are going to discount and miss on a guy like Jonah Williams from Alabama because they're going to say, well, he's just not that big. Well, either is a guy like Andre Dillard at tackle from Washington State. But I think when you look at it at the end of the day, he's going to be a guy that can, either play tackle or guard for you. Because honestly, the way these kids can move these days, it really doesn't matter because you are going to have to move. You are going to have to get out and get in space no matter where you play on the offensive line. So the old, he's a tackle, so he's not going to have to do that. Those things just don't apply any longer.
Yeah, what was your take on Cody Ford? Because he's a guy I actually like, but when I look at what he did here with the only 19 bench press reps, and you get all these scouts saying he looks like he lacks the athleticism of a tackle, I still like these feet when I watched him. I think he moves well, and I don't know why everybody's so down on him, because when you watch film, he looks like a pretty damn good player.
That's what I would go by primarily with a kid like this. He's a unformed player quite now. I mean, he's got the good size at 335, 340 pounds. He's 6'5". Yeah. But, can he be stronger? Heck yeah, he can be stronger. But next time the weight falls on your chest and you got to push it off you 30, 40 times on the field, I'll pay more attention to the importance of that. I like Cody Ford. He may be ultimately a guard, but that's no longer to me an insult.
All right, Anthony, who was the guy that stood out to you, or guys, and who you think hurt themselves on this last Friday, I think it was, when the lineman went?
I think some of the biggest winners out of the combine was an Andre Dillard from Washington State. He's one of the better pass protectors in the draft. I think what he did at the combine, I believe he clocked somewhere a 4.96 40-yard dash. He showed really good movement skills in the drills. I think Dillard could really help himself out with the draft coming up.
Yeah, and I think that a 40 time for offensive linemen is a waste of time. Randy, would you run the 40 in?
Junior year, I was in the high 4.7s, low 4.8s.
That's not bad.
In college, I think by the time I got, post-draft, I was right in the 4.85, 4.9 area. Of course, I was only about 255, too.
Yeah, not everybody today is 335 pounds. Steve, I think we see the importance. You're a Colts fan, and we see the importance of offensive line because last year they drafted Quentin Nelson. A year or two before that, Ryan Kelly, and that really had a lot to do with what turned the Colts around.
Well, that's the question I had for Randy. Is it how unique is it what the Colts did? I mean, and I think now the Colts are regarded as having. Is it fair to say, Randy, that they have one of the best offensive lines in the NFL right now?
Well, they probably have the best offensive lineman in Nelson.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
The way he jumped out of the block.
If you can keep Kelly healthy, I mean, if you can keep him healthy.
But I mean, you got to remember that we've seen this before. We've seen teams that seem to compile offensive linemen. The trick is to keep some of them around. Seattle had the best offensive line in the league when they won the Super Bowl, and then they decided to spend their money on defense and lost, the better part of their attack and started, putting Russell Wilson on the run every single dang play. I mean, if you want to know how important the line is in this draft, ask the Raiders, because John Gruden's got lots of picks and he's got lots of holes.
Yeah, right. But I mean, and Costanzo's been around for the Colts for as long as I can remember. I mean, I don't remember anybody playing left tackle besides Costanzo. They had the one guy for a long time ago, back in the '80s, when Colts first migrated to Indianapolis, which they now are now.
Tart Glenn from Cal.
Yeah, Tart Glenn. Yeah, and they've done well. But what's amazing to me is that when you have a great offensive line, you can take a guy like Marlon Mack and make him a household name. Mm-hmm. There's a guy who's a sub-average running back, basically. I mean, he's an average running back, but now he's a household name because the Colts make a run when 9 of their last 10 games based on that offensive line. Why do teams not focus more on drafting linemen? Are there just not enough quality linemen out there? or is it just something they want to keep going for the marquee players?
Well, most years there aren't that many guys. There are more this year. This year is an unusual crew, but most years there aren't a huge number. So you're trying to take a shot somewhere in the third or fourth round and get that kind of diamond in the rough guy, which is nothing wrong with that. And it's the reason so many teams, pay a lot of money to certain offensive line coaches, because they're worth it, because they can develop players. Nobody currently does it better than Dante Scarnecchia. But you can create offensive lines. It's just times like this, and the combine usually gets people fixated on the ones that can, run the 4.85s and do 35 reps on the bench press and, actually look good in their underwear rather than what they look like on tape.
How important are the tight ends to the offensive line? Are they an integral part? Like Eric Ebron, I focus on the Colts because I'm a Colts fan, so that's pretty much what I watch, even though I'm in L.A. How important are tight ends to an offensive line?
Well, look around the league and look at the better offenses, and how many of those teams have gone back to, because for a while, tight ends and fullbacks were like endangered species. They were like dodo birds. But now the better offenses have that threat. You got to have that threat at tight end, because that's the middle of the field. And I know you can do it with your slot, and you can do it with other people, and in some cases you can do it with your running backs. But nothing threatens the field like a real athletic tight end. And if you're really lucky, you've got a guy that's very athletic, can run, and doesn't mind bending his face mask a little bit and sticks his face in there, because those are the guys that are really unusual.
Okay, one more question, Mike, then I'll shut up. Randy, do you draft the tight end to block, or do you draft the tight end to catch passes?
Well, Tony Gonzalez is living proof you can teach one to block. You can't teach one to run fast and to have good hands and to have, that sort of spatial relation part of his brain that knows where those holes are and whatnot, like Witten has done so well for so many years at Dallas.
And coming back and doing it again, yeah.
Yeah, but you can teach guys how to block. Now you can't teach anybody to be a willing blocker. That's got to be something you're born with.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that was so impressive about Gronkowski this year, especially when you look at the playoff game against the Chargers, when all of a sudden he goes from your biggest pass receiving threat to moving him around, and actually, he helped win that game by blocking. And there's not many guys you see do that nowadays.
It's unusual, but I wouldn't say it's rare. So just like at any other time or in any other era, there's really probably, what would you say, 5 or 6 really special offenses in the league, tops?
Yeah.
Well, it just happens to be less than a coincidence that most of those have really good tight ends.
Yeah.
that actually can do a little blocking too.
All right. When we look at the tight ends, I think the tight ends are fairly loaded in this draft, Anthony.
Yeah, I'm seeing that this could be one of the deepest tight end drafts that we've seen in a while. And after seeing a guy like George Kittle break out, who's from Iowa, there are 2 Iowa tight ends coming out. Who do you like more?
Are you asking me?
I guess you'd want to say the speed guy, Fant, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I think so.
I like Irv Smith out of Alabama personally. I like that. I like that pedigree, and he's not unfamiliar with blocking.
Yeah.
Now, you brought up Jason Witten earlier. How do you feel about a guy like Jason Witten coming out of retirement and playing for Dallas again? Is this a move to maybe he steps into coaching in the future? I know he's going to play limited snaps. Will Dallas go out and draft one of these young tight ends?
I would imagine they have to. They won't have much of a choice. And especially you put Witten's return, which I think cemented to a lot of people, it should have told people that are playing the game, this broadcast thing ain't that easy. But also, my favorite quote of this combine, the kind of below the radar, was Jerry Jones is, hey, I've been doing this 30 years, and I know I don't have 30 left, so I got to get me a championship. So, yeah, I would look for Jerry to get himself a tight end that can run. You know, Jason knows where the spaces are. Jason knows, you know, how to get open. But if you combine what they have at receiver, what he can do at tight end, what Elliott can do as a running back, and then you get a guy that can actually stretch in the middle with his speed, that could be a nice ad.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but they're a team that need offensive line help too. I mean, they lost a couple guys.
Doesn't that seem strange?
Well, they let a couple guys
they were
get
so
away.
Dominant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, just like the Seattle example I was talking about. People refuse to learn from other people's mistakes.
Well, go with the Bengals example. They let Zeitler and Whitworth go the same year after making 5 straight playoff appearances. And then the next thing you know, 3 years later, the offensive line's in shambles. Everybody think Andy Dalton sucks, and the team is terrible. So you win games up front, I think, at any level of football you're at. What do you think of T.J. Hawkinson? Because I think Hawkinson all around, receiving and blocking, I think he might be the best guy here when you count both aspects of the game.
Yeah, probably. I mean, Hawkinson was on a lot of people's lists, the number 1 tight end, until Noah Fant ran that 40 at the combine, and people went, holy jeez. I think another guy that hasn't had a whole lot of, I guess, experience from a standpoint of the limelight is Caleb Wilson from UCLA.
Yeah.
You know, kind of underutilized mainly because he's never really had much of a delivery system that could really get him the ball, especially this last season. But when Rosen was there, you know, he was much more of a threat. So I think that's a guy that maybe you get down in that 3rd to 4th round area, he's going to be able to come in and help people.
All right, well, we go wide receiver. I know DK Metcalf, you know, blew the doors off of it in the combine. From watching film, is this kid that good, or is this guy one of those guys the Raiders will jump on because he runs really fast and turn out not to be that good?
No, the Raider guy would be the guy that didn't play football and was on the 4x1 NCAA championship team, and they get him in the 2nd round. No, Metcalf can catch. You see, you know, just some of his highlights from his time at Ole Miss. This guy can flat go. The biggest thing that's fun about watching him, and the heck with his numbers at the combine, his after the catch, because of that strength and because of that speed, can just be ridiculous.
Anthony, what's your take on Metcalf? I knew you liked him before this weekend.
You know, Metcalf flashed a lot in the speed, and where he struggled was things like the agility in the 3-cone drill. Does that alarm any of you?
The thing that would alarm me when watching his film is I don't think he always runs crisp routes, Randy. But he is so physically gifted, he's gotten away with it right now. So I think the key here is getting with the right team with a good coach to kind of brush that up a little bit.
Yeah, I put him in from that standpoint. You look at N'Keal Harry at Arizona State, kind of a similar style, similar kind of player. Maybe a guy that's a little more polished would be David Sills, a kid out of West Virginia. And again, some of these guys we're talking about, you know, day 2-ish kind of guys. But like you have to always remember, that's not an insult. No. It's not the big money, but it's a great chance to get out there and do it. And that ability to run routes, and, you know, there won't be any cones on the field at any time when there's a game, so that won't be a factor. But the crispness and the ability to sync those routes up with the quarterback's steps and timing, because that's all passing is about. It's all about timing. And we see it now, especially as these spread offenses that proliferated in the NFL, and these 7-on-7 type kids have come in, you know, into the league. It's all about the timing. And if you can't do that, you won't be able to play long in the NFL.
Yeah, and I think the most important thing here is something we can't see at the combine, and that is, number one, being able to get off the line against a jam in the NFL.
Yep. You know, especially that guy that's going to be in that X-type position where you're going to be the most accessible. You know, if an offense has to start moving you around, taking you off the line of scrimmage and putting you in motion so people don't jack you up, you get exposed pretty quick.
Go ahead, Steve.
Go ahead. I forgot my question. No. Okay, no, I got to remember my question.
There you go. All right.
No, my question is Randy, how important is it to measure? Like, we measure stats and everything, and we take the 40 times. And Mike, what was your fastest 40 time you ever ran?
I don't even know if they had clocks.
I was 4.75. I was a quarterback, 6'8" quarterback. I was 4.75.
I was a 4.71, which makes me faster than you. Anthony, would you run a 40?
There you go. Well,
I can't remember that.
Anthony, in New Jersey, you don't run 40 yards unless you're stealing something from somewhere. You don't ever run 40 yards in New Jersey. And I actually got called by Gil Brandt, because Gil Brandt was a friend of Bob Nice and asked if I wanted to come down and try out for tight end for the Cowboys. I'm like, hell no. I'm not going to have broken fingers all messed up and mangled all my life. I wish I'd have done it, but, I was too stupid to know better then. But, Randy, how much of this do you look at as an analyst, a lineman, a player? How much does heart figure into this over statistics, or what weighs more heavily? Like Gronkowski, the guy's got heart. I mean, he plays hard all the time. Whenever he can play, he plays hard. Does that matter as much as statistics, or are statistics more of the measure of what the NFL uses now?
Well, I'll tell you one red flag, that'll stand out is your availability. If you're a guy that's always going to be available, that's a huge add-on in your favor for the NFL, because they'd rather have the guy that maybe runs a tenth of a second slower in the 40, but they know what he can do, and he'll always be there to do it, rather than the guy that's going to tweak a hammy and be unavailable for a month at a time during the season. So that's part of that. So that eval period and that interview period and talking to the strength and conditioning coaches and whatnot that we see here in this combine and leading up to the draft. But, the heart, the stats that might get you in the league, the heart's going to keep you in the league.
There you go.
Yeah, because there's a lot of guys that are on the borderline that are good enough to play in the NFL that don't, and that ends up being the difference. Let's go to the quarterbacks.
Yeah, in the real world, we call those GPS drivers.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. They make good money.
You call them what?
They look good coming off the truck.
Yeah. Or it's the old, looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane.
Hang on. To me, the quarterback in the NFL that had the biggest heart of all, to me, was Joe Montana. And I know the guy just had a heart. He just found ways to win. He wasn't the most gifted quarterback that ever played the game, but he was the biggest winner, and that man found ways to win football games. Whatever assets he had available to him, he utilized them all. And I think that heart carries so much more clout than statistics, and I think it's overlooked. And because you can't measure heart, you have to just go find it.
Yeah. I mean, there's no shortage of guys that have had smoke blowing up their backsides for their whole careers these days, and everybody tells them how great they are. To me, guys, the bottom line really is whether you're drafted in the first round or you're a rookie free agent, you're going to get a shot. Now, the first rounder is going to get more than one or two. They're going to get multiple. But no matter who you are, you're going to get your chance. It may be in practice. It may be in preseason. It may be somewhere. But it's going to come. You just got to be ready to take advantage of it. And I tell you, if you got a room full of guys that played this game for a good period of time, they can trace a lot of that back to, what was your moment? What was your chance? What was the one thing that happened in your career where the coaches had to notice you? The coaches had to pay attention, and they suddenly needed you. So, it's going to happen for all these young guys.
Yeah, and so I see. Again, I'm sorry, Mike. I see that in Baker Mayfield. The kid's got heart. He seems to me like he wants to win football games, and that's what he's going to do. Whatever it takes to go win football games. Is that a fair assessment, or are we blowing smoke?
No, I think it's a fair assessment. He also, look back at his tape from the combine last year, talking about, they asked him about Cleveland drafting him. He was, hey, well, if they were lucky enough to do that, they're going to get a hell of a quarterback that's going to compete his butt off. And, I think Kyler Murray is going to really cash a lot of that sort of equity in coming out of the same system, only being slightly smaller, but, having that ability to throw and run the ball. And the interesting thing to me, as we go through this whole spread idea coming to the NFL, how long do these NFL general managers and front office people kind of stay with the small forward ideal as their go-to quarterback guy? That can't move, can't evade people. Are we going to see things kind of snap back towards the, Joe Montana was 6'2". So 6'2", 6'1", 6 foot, 5'11", whatever, but guys that can move and guys that can create.
Yeah, and move doesn't mean just that you can take off running. It's the ability, you watch Tom Brady, Joe Montana, their ability to move around in a pocket, just make a little bit of a move and bide himself time to throw the ball. And when you look at the quarterbacks here, is there anybody here that stands out to you as having the it factor in this draft?
Well, I think Kyler's got the current it deal going, because of what he has been able to do, and the small forward type would be, and it's not a knock on him, but Daniel Jones is a pretty good sized kid at quarterback. I think Dwayne Haskins has had people tell him what he can't do, and even ignored what he can so much. He may be the most motivated guy in this entire group. I'm looking forward to see what he either can or can't do. And as far as the guy that's a smallish, if 6'2" is small, but, Will Greer out of West Virginia, I think he's got the arm and he's got the head to go with it. And he's a mature kid that's got he's got a family, and that kind of profile is going to appeal to a lot of veteran-type coaches.
Yeah, and I think with him, the only thing I saw when he played would be maybe a little bit of decision-making and field vision, but that can be fixed if you go to the right team. When I see Murray and Haskins, my question is this. In the past, I've seen a lot of guys picked highly, and they just started for 1 year. And the majority of those guys that were just one-year starters in college, I think, have not really transitioned really well to the NFL.
Yeah, but think about that list in your mind. How many of those guys were running spread-type offenses or college offenses and then asked to go right into the pros? And these are guys that were asked to run regular-type offenses.
Well,
nowadays people are adapting. No, I'm just going to. The only point I want to make is people, I think, are crushing that a little bit these days, only because coaches are adapting. They're changing their offenses. They're actually making allowances for what these kids can and can't do, which is giving them, I think, a much better chance. But your point is very valid. The one-year starter panics a lot of people.
Yeah, and when I look at Kyler Murray, everybody talks about Arizona. I think Arizona's the perfect spot for him because Kingsbury basically runs the same air raid system with a tight end and a fullback at Texas Tech that they ran at Oklahoma. So I think even though the talent level is not huge in Arizona, I think it would probably be the best situation for him just because of that.
Yeah, and Arizona's got to keep in mind sort of what's in their division, because that's one of the things that you don't hear enough about, that people should draft for, A, where they play, kind of their facility. They should draft for the division they're in. Before you ever get to, we got to compete in the NFL. Well, you got to compete against 4 teams first.
Yeah.
And you got to be able to beat those guys. And when you look at the defenses in the NFC West, you can make a pretty strong argument that with Kingsbury's offense and a guy like this, with the Rams defense and the Seattle defense and the San Francisco guys they're going to have in that system, you better have a guy that can create and a guy that can move.
Yeah, because with Aaron Donald coming after you, you got to be able to move. Anthony,
Mike, isn't it fair? Mike, isn't it fair to say that you talk about the defenses in the NFL are so much more sophisticated than the defense in college? Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah.
And so a quarterback that does well in college, not necessarily going to figure it out in the NFL because they're going to figure out the quarterback faster than the quarterback's going to figure out the defense. Is that fair to say?
Well, if you look at how many teams don't have quality starting quarterbacks, I'd say, yeah, Randy.
Yeah.
I mean, because everybody that goes to the NFL was a stud
I'm a basketball
in college.
player. I'm a basketball player talking football, so give me a break.
No, but I mean, it's really. I talked about how many really special offenses there are. Well, it's no coincidence that there was about the same number of really special quarterbacks.
Yeah.
In the NFL. Now, every year when you get the draft, they make you think that there's probably 6 of them in this draft. Well, there aren't. There won't be when it's all said and done. There's some classes that have had those kind of impacts in the league, but the guys that are lucky enough to have the talent that these kids have coming out of college go into a system that fits them and has coaches and other players in it that can augment what they do. That combination, that's what makes the great quarterback, or one of the things that makes a great quarterback so rare.
Yeah,
and Mike speaks to that all the time. And Mike, you speak to that all the time, the importance of the relationship of the coach and the quarterback. You speak to that daily when we do football stuff.
Well,
I give you full credit for all that.
The perfect example is I'm a Bengals fan, which means I'm kind of pissed at Randy all the time. But I'm a Bengals fan. And the thing that stands out to me was you could have gave us at least one of those, Randy. You didn't need 3 rings. You don't need to be a hog. You'd have still had twice as many rings as Steve Risley if you'd have had 2. But
kind of like money.
No, my Hall of Fame ring is coming. My Hall of Fame ring is
coming.
Nobody
cares about the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame. All right, but when we look
people
at
in Indiana
this,
do.
As a just be quiet, Steve. All right, let me talk. But
all right,
when you look at it, David Klinger was a perfect example. The Bengals draft him. He was He was basically a run and shoot quarterback. And then they try to turn him into Kenny Anderson. Achilles Smith, same thing. They draft him off of 1 year at Oregon, and they tried to turn him into a pocket passer, and he wasn't. I think those are 2 guys, especially with Klinger, that kind of were, dead men walking from the start just because of the organization they went to, and the head coaches unwillingly to, put the offense to match the quarterback. They instead take the quarterback and try to make that quarterback fit the offense, and that's usually coaches that fail.
Yeah, well, but think about it. The way this league has changed over the last decade, back in the days when I was on Sirius NFL radio with Bob Papa, and you'd talk about college offenses to NFL people, They looked like you just walked up to them in a tuxedo, but you had a bird turd on your jacket.
Yeah.
It's like, God, where did you come from? That's college offense. That's amateur stuff. That stuff doesn't work at this level. Well, you know what? It works now.
Yeah.
So that's a huge part of exactly what you're talking about. Whether it's David Klinger or anybody else back in those days. If they were to run the same kinds of systems in the pros as they did in college, you'd have seen a different result. That's what's made, how about Cam Newton? Everyone said, oh, well, eventually he's going to have to play like an NFL quarterback. You seen that happen yet?
No, and he hadn't won yet either.
He causes a lot of nightmares for defensive coordinators. Carolina hadn't won, but it hadn't been mainly because of him.
So
I got a question. Randy, we had this debate all the time because Mike does all these lists, and they're really great lists, and he really researches it. Who's not the best, but who's the most important quarterback in the NFL right now? If you had a team, and again, you're an analyst, I know if you don't want to answer because you got to deal with every team, who's the most important quarterback in the NFL right now?
Well, I'd say coming off that Super Bowl, Jared Goff, because of his lack of performance. But body of evidence, I'm going to be slightly biased and say Jimmy Garoppolo out at San Francisco, only because what they couldn't do when he wasn't there. Guys like that are extremely, extremely valuable to their football teams. But I know one team that year in, year out is right there, and the only reason they are is because of Russell Wilson. That's the Seattle Seahawks.
Thank you, Randy, because Steve was
There
hoping
you
you would
go.
say Andrew Luck, because we have this argument all the time. And I always tell him,
and
if I could pick any one quarterback right now to start a team with, it's Russell Wilson.
I agree, Mike. I don't disagree with you. I respect that. I respect that entirely. But so the Patriots really screwed up by letting Garoppolo go, right?
Well, not really. I mean, I think
what a Super Bowl
they let them go, they've been in every Super Bowl.
But I mean, Brady's got one or two more years. I mean, really, how long can he keep doing?
We've said that for 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he still looked pretty good this year.
Let's say he's got 2 or 3. Let's be nice. It's still, you can't have the most successful organizations, if you look over the last 20, 30 years, are always the teams that develop the maximum amount of value at backup quarterback. And it's not because they have great value at backup quarterback. It's because they ended up trading it and turning those players into multiple draft picks that help them stay where they are. You know, San Francisco did it. Green Bay did it. New England's done it. The teams that really win for extended periods of times, they do that behind some really, really good players. So Brady's a unbelievable blessing in that way because you're not going to need that backup kid, but you can develop people, and they've done it now for, you know, whether it was Hoyer or Schaub or Garoppolo or whoever. You do that, and you develop that kind of equity, that to their organization is found money.
Anthony, your turn. Well, I've monopolized. Anthony, what do you got?
You know, going off of that, the Patriots have 12 picks in this draft. Is this the year maybe they move up and draft Brady as heir apparent?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that's a first-round draft pick. Knowing that organization a little bit, I did their preseason for like 10 years. So I spent a lot of time in training camp and watching drills. And, you know, when you do preseason games, that means you get to see a lot of guys that, you know, can say they played for the Patriots, but not so much in the regular season. They're going to have a chance to identify somebody that can be that kind of guy. And if you go down a list of all these quarterbacks in this draft, somewhere on there is a guy, you know, whether it's maybe, and this is a shot in the dark because, you know, Kyle Schumer, you know, is that a guy that's got the football pedigree that can sit and learn and develop behind a guy like Brady for a couple of years?
What about a guy like Will Greer in like the second or third, in the second round?
Yeah, maybe Ryan Finley from NC State. You know, that'd be another guy you'd think about. And I know a guy that people are going to take a flyer on. I don't care what anybody says. And if Al Davis was still alive, he'd be wearing silver and black as Tyree Jackson out of Buffalo.
Yeah, the big dude. Yeah,
I've done his games. I've done a couple of his games the last few years. That guy can go. He can. Now, is he fast? Yeah, he can move. Is he throw everything? Nope. But he can throw and he can run. And I think you get a guy in a system and you really augment what you do to his tools, he could be somebody that could, worst case scenario is you teach him what you do really well and somebody overpays for him. but I think he's a guy that's got some pretty amazing upside.
Yeah. Anthony?
No, go ahead, Steve.
Steve? Oh,
No,
Steve,
no. I was going to
you only
change
let him
directions.
ask
I was
one
going to change
question.
directions
Go
because
ahead.
I'm getting tired of talking about NFL. So I was going to go a different direction here.
What do you want to talk about? Don't you bring up the Kardashians again. Steve loves the Kardashians.
My wife just took a job in Calabasas. Are you kidding me? I can't wait to get over there.
Okay.
Oh, jeez.
But she was in Pasadena playing in the Rose Bowl. How cool is that? Because UCLA plays in the Rose Bowl. We drive by it we live in Granada Hills. And you were in Encino, right? So you were in Encino.
Yeah, Tarzan and Encino, yeah.
Tarzan and Encino, yeah, on Ventura Boulevard, no doubt. Most likely somewhere north or south of the boulevard. That's the big question when you live out here. Are you north or south of the boulevard?
Yeah, well, I was south. There was a street called Wilbur Avenue.
Okay.
And there used to be a Peanuts bridge. Charles Schultz. There was a bridge that had all these Peanuts caricatures over the bridge, and I was right next to that elementary school.
Yeah.
So I was.
I belonged to Woodland Hills. I belong to Woodland Hills Country Club. Yeah, I belong to Woodland Hills and play golf there. That's my golf course. So we're always right there.
You seem like cool. You seem like a country club kind of guy.
Yeah, well, no.
Yeah, a little soft.
Wow.
He is,
God,
too.
Randy, I don't deserve that from you. You don't know me that well to rip on me like that.
Randy,
remember? That's not fair.
Randy, do you remember Ed Biles?
Oh yeah. God.
Okay, Ed was on the show one time, and Steve made some comment, and Ed said that doesn't mean much coming from a man who used to run around in shorts and a tank top when he played sports.
Such abuse.
And he didn't even know how he felt about the Kardashians.
No, well, I think everybody knows before it's done with.
I actually went to a UCLA USC game, and I sat about 10 seats away from Caitlyn Jenner, which is the closest I've gotten to a Kardashian. Alford, when he was the coach here at UCLA, he's an IU guy, so he's a friend of mine, and that was as close as I've gotten to a Kardashian yet. So there you go.
I used to play golf. I used to play golf with Bruce when he was back on the blue tees.
There you go. Where's Sherman Oaks?
Wow.
Or what's the up there in Thousand Oaks? What's the course? Sherwood.
No, that's Sherwood up there. But no, I played on that celebrity tour.
Yeah. My buddy Brian Hammonds, who was a Golf Channel, did that too.
Yeah,
he did that. Yeah. Brian's an Indianapolis guy and a good friend of mine. So funny thing.
But anyway, the Rose Bowl to me is, as an event, it's a standalone. It's unlike any other bowl game, and I think people that have had a chance to play in it really gets hammered home. And I believe a lot of people figured that out year before last when the semifinal game was there, when Georgia played Oklahoma.
Yeah,
and a lot of football people got a chance to see that environment, and we're rightfully impressed. It's an incredible place.
It's an incredible facility, and we have a dog park there, and we take our dogs out there and walk our dogs around. They have a golf course. People don't realize there's a golf course right around the Rose Bowl.
Well, that's where everybody parks and tailgates.
Parks their cars, yeah. They tear the crap out of it for the Rose Bowl. They all park there, but there is a decent municipal golf course right on the Rose Bowl property. And there's a museum there. There's a Hall of Fame in there, and it's a cool place. Should they just say that the national championship ends at the Rose Bowl every year? Would that be a cool thing for the NCAA to do?
Yeah, I wouldn't be against that. I just think, the setting, not only the venue and the place of it, just, you're not going to beat LA in that second week in January. I mean, my dad, I grew up in LA, and my dad was an actor. And I remember my dad sitting New Year's Day in our living room, and, on those little crummy TVs back then. But every time they take that panoramic shot of that valley in the background with the stadium and crystal blue skies, my dad would go, "Damn it." And I look at him and go, "What?" He goes, all those people out there up to their butts in snow, they're going to want to move out here. They shouldn't show that stuff.
And see, you got Steve Risley there because of it.
And we've been out here 2 years. My son's
property
an actor
value
now,
dropped
too,
10% also, by the way.
Yeah, my son's an actor, and but Mount Wilson, staring at Mount Wilson and looking at the beauty of where the Rose Bowl sits. People, you don't get it. TV does not do the Rose Bowl justice at all. And I know UCLA plays all their home games there. And, we constantly drive by there and we see the lights on. Like, we've gone to a bunch, just popped in and gone to a game. You said, let's go sit in the Rose Bowl and watch a football game. We don't care who they're playing. And we were tied to UCLA because of Steve Alford, and it was just fun to go. Can Chip Kelly bring the team back? Can he bring UCLA back?
Well, hopefully he's better at bringing UCLA back at football than Alford's been at the basketball. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, he's gone. He's gone. Yeah. He may be. He's out of here. Yeah. So
he's gonna get his chance. He's in the process of getting his chance. It's all about the recruiting. And if his long-term success is measured just by how you recruit, which unfortunately these days in college football, that's what it's like, it doesn't look good because he's just not getting the horses in there. And I mean specifically, UCLA hasn't recruited that well on the line of scrimmage in quite some time, and that's been a big difference.
Yeah. Anthony?
Yeah.
No, I don't really have anything to add about what you guys are talking about now. But if you wanted to kick it...
can you kick it back to wherever you want, Anthony?
I want to kick it back to football and the whole Kyler Murray connection with the Cardinals. A big piece, one of the moving parts, is Josh Rosen, and I'm seeing rumors and reports saying that they could only get a third-round pick. If that's the scenario and that's all, that he could be worth, what are the Cardinals going to do? Do they make the decision and maybe take a second or less than value for Rosen just so they can go get their guy Kyler Murray, or do they sit on Rosen even though he might not fit into the air raid system or what Cliff Kingsbury wants to do?
Well, that's the most important thing you just said was does he fit in the air raid system? Because if his value is perceived as a third-round pick, then, everyone associated with that draft pick last year should be fired immediately after making that trade because they're still in the building. So, it's a tough situation because their leverage as far as building value for Josh Rosen is zip. I mean, if you're a team out there that would love to steal him, why do you make a reasonable offer? There's no reason to. Because especially if they make that pick at number 1, you're suddenly looking at a lame duck that, by doing what you did, you've gutted the value Absolutely. Of this guy. So, a number 2 or a number 3, sadly, it's not going to be a top 1, that's for sure, because that doesn't exist, I think, in this market.
No, and the Redskins are reportedly interested in Josh Rosen, which makes a lot of sense for them considering they're going to be on the hook for Alex Smith's contract. And with Alex Smith unlikely to play, they can't go in and sign a veteran quarterback. They probably can't be in the Nick Foles market because of their cap. So getting a quarterback on a rookie deal is probably in their best interest.
Yeah, that's not a bad way to look at it. I don't know how much I saw of Rosen last year that would lead me to believe that, he would be a quantum leap at the quarterback position. He may be a good short-term PR guy as far as the splash goes. But, even back to his UCLA days, he never was exactly a top-notch, blue chip kind of a player. But, of course, he didn't get the protection and a lot of the help he needed when he was in college either.
Yeah, but I think the problem here is I don't think outside of the Cardinals too many people were extraordinarily high on Rosen either, which is why I think his draft value or his trade value is as low as what it is right now.
Yeah, I actually saw him in the Mercedes-Benz Dome, the Falcons' last home game last year. He didn't look too bad. They had a hot mess as far as a football team goes.
Yeah.
You know, because they just anytime you've got talent like Larry Fitzgerald and some of the other guys that they have, and you can't do much, it doesn't say much for your coaching staff, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, and the coaching staff is now gone. Anthony?
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what people forget about the temporary nature of coaching, and it's nothing new. I was drafted in 1976. I had my first coach in 76. I had my second coach in 77. I had my third and fourth head coaches in 78. Bill Walsh, going into my fourth year, was my fifth head coach.
Yeah, but on the bright side, you never had another coach after that.
Yeah, exactly. I had 10 years of him, and that was pretty good. But you know, the one and done thing is there's not much patience. That was one of the fantastic things about. I got a chance to work with Jerry Glanville quite a few times over the years, and his old "not for long" thing he said to the officials. It applies to a lot of players and also to the coaches.
Yeah, still sticks. All right, guys. Anybody else got any questions for Randy before we let him go?
I'm good.
All right, Anthony, you good?
I'm
No,
sorry.
Brad,
I was on
we're
the phone.
Right.
I was on the phone calling Woodland Hills, making my tea time because I'm a country club kind of guy. So, you know.
Oh, Randy, you hurt Steve's feelings, and it's easy to do.
Oh.
Which actually
Go to the
proves
Whole
your
Foods
point about the country club thing.
Go to
Actually,
the Whole Foods in Calabasas. Maybe Chris will happen by.
Actually, she doesn't go to Whole Foods. They have people shop for them. We already found that out
for her. Yeah. All right, guys. Really appreciate it.
All right. Thanks a lot, Randy. All right, guys. Anthony, you staying for the next segment with Bobby Sheridan, or are you out of here too?
No, I'm out of here. I got to prepare for my show now.
All right. Hey, thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Guys, we'll be back after this commercial break with, from the Sheridan Report, Bobby Sheridan.
Tune in to Game Day IQ for the smartest hour in sports. Test your knowledge of sports trivia on everything from football, basketball, and baseball to cricket, tennis, and hockey to horse racing, auto racing, and soccer, and, of course, the Olympics. Every week, you'll learn tantalizing details of sports' most intriguing conundrums that you can stump your friends with.
Find out what sports figure needs a remedial trip to Coach Club's bench. Settle in for story time with Uncle Bucky. See if this is the week that I go off on a Category 5 level rant. Learn whose performance on or off the playing surface deserves a special place on this week's pedestal. All that plus a variety of other features that all add up to the most cerebral hour in sports this week. Oh, and you'll have fun too. So raise your Game Day IQ by joining me, host Chris Cook, and
Alan Buck for an informative look at this week in sports right here at thegruelingtruth.net.
All right, guys, we're back on Survive and Advance on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. I'm Mike Goodpaster with Steve Risley. Once again, we want to thank Anthony Cervino and, of course, three-time Pro Bowler, three-time world champion Randy Cross for coming on the show today to talk about the Combine. But now it's time for the main event. From the Sheridan Report, Bobby Sheridan. How you doing, Bobby?
I'm doing great, guys. And, you know, it's not easy following Randy Cross. I mean, he was the real deal. And I'm going to go back and listen to the show here in a little bit.
Oh, you need to, because he made fun of Steve being a country club type of guy.
Everybody makes fun of me. That's all right. I have big shoulders. Don't worry about it. I can handle it.
All right.
Well,
everybody wants to punk
come out
me.
here. You come out here on the West Coast now. I guess they think you've gotten soft or something. I don't know.
Well, usually people on the West Coast are soft, but the problem is Randy's on the West Coast too. So.
Yeah, but you take one look at that guy. Even at his age now, you know he's not soft.
Hey, Bobby, you're on the West Coast too.
Mike, is Randy still doing color commentary on the NFL Network? NFL? Is he still doing it, or?
I really
don't know.
Have a clue. I don't think he does anymore, because I know a couple years ago when he was on the Legends show, he had just stopped doing it. So I know that he wrote a really interesting article on the Players Tribune, which you can find at theplayerstribune.com, on why he was donating his brain to CTE research. And it's a really good article. It's great reading. I suggest anybody go to theplayerstribune.com and check that out. Randy's a great guy, even though he's beat my Bengals in multiple Super Bowls. But it's always a pleasure to have him on because he knows what he's talking about, too, unlike a lot of the people you get on the NFL Network. Bobby, what's our top play tonight?
Well, we got two top plays, Mike, and I think we're going to go 2-0 tonight. We've only got 2 plays, period. Just 2 plays on the card, and one college and one NBA, and I'm going to give you both, and we're going to analyze the NBA one. But we're going to go to the college. Kansas State is on the road at TCU, and it's a huge game for them. And we've got Kansas State minus the 1.5. That's a 6 o'clock Western Pacific time start, and so we've got Kansas State. Now the NBA top play. There's 7 or 8 games on the board, but this one here stands out to me, and it's going to surprise you a little bit. It's the New York Knicks. We're coming right back with them. We lost yesterday with them. Anybody that follows me or purchases a Sheridan Report or whatever, we had the Knicks yesterday, and my son called me before the game, and we talked about it a little bit, and I said, look, Nolan is his name. I said, Nolan, if we get past the first quarter, this is 100% the Knicks game. They're going to play well. They're going to hang in this game, with that number. The number was 10.5, I believe. And but got to get out of the first quarter because this was a West start, a 12:30 West Coast start. It was their first game on the trip. So I'm anticipating, you have to anticipate a lot of times with these games, and any back numbers on the Knicks mean nothing. This is a brand new team. They're playing 9-10 guys. 6-7 are getting double figures nightly. They're working hard. They have a rim protector by the name of Mitchell Robinson. This guy leaps out of the building, 3-4 blocks a night, playing good defense. Like I said, they got 6-7 scores. Well, they couldn't get out of the first quarter yesterday, guys. And next thing you know, they're just blown out of the building, and it's over. So good thing is they kept the minutes down. Nobody played more than 25, 26 minutes. Like I said, they rotated with 10 people. And now they just go on up to Sacramento, and they're going to play well tonight. And it's like a horse race. Back when I used to do the horse races, you break out of the gate slow, or another horse bumps you out of the gate and you fall 2 lengths back. You just draw a line line right through the game. You draw a line right through the race, and you just handicap and go forward. And that's tonight. So I think that the Knicks will be in this game to win in the fourth quarter. And Sacramento will be very desperate. They're 3 games out of the playoff spot now. Sacramento's not playing well, guys. They've lost 4 out of 5 since the break. They are dropping down in class tonight, but this is a game that they know they have to win. And, they likely will get the win, but this is going to be a very tough game. No game in the NBA is easy, and Sacramento will find that out tonight. So we're going to take the points with the Knicks. The line was 11.5 when I did the report last night, and it's down to 11. And I think the line has come the right direction, a little bit favoring the Knicks. Some of the professional money, I think, is on the Knicks, as it was yesterday, but they didn't get out of the blocks. So they got bumped at the start. So Kansas State, Knicks, 2-teamer, that's all. Pound this 2-teamer, make some money, get the Monday started in the right direction, and good luck to everybody on that.
All right. Now, I don't want to miss this opportunity to bring this up, but on Friday's show, and on every show we've done about the NBA, it's been beaten over my head how the Lakers were going to make the playoffs, and you guys make me feel really minuscule and stupid. But when I look at the standings today, Bobby, Steve, I see that the Spurs have a 4.5 game lead over the Lakers for that final playoff spot with just 19 games to go.
No good, guys. No good.
My take is, Mike, Mike, I don't ever question your intelligence in picking because you are good at it. You really get it. I still think the Lakers make the playoffs. I don't think the NBA does not want them. Well, and the only reason I would agree with you is because I watched the Lakers-Memphis game, and I saw an absolute disinterested LeBron James. totally didn't give a damn about the game whatsoever. Didn't care. So Mike, I still think that the Lakers will do or the NBA will do everything they can to get the Lakers in the first round matchup against Golden State. That's a big TV market for them. That's a big thing. But I think you're probably right. It's probably now. The NBA is going to have to pull too many strings to make that happen. That's my opinion. Bobby?
Yeah, that's the opinion that I've had basically, and I think with LeBron, I haven't commented on this at all, but I will comment now. The guy wears his heart on his sleeve. He really does. He's playing hard. He's playing questionable defense at his age, but he's playing defense in spots. And they did some numbers that since he's come back, the Lakers' overall defensive metrics have gone way down. So that is a problem on the court, okay? But he's playing hard. If you watched that Bucks game the other night, you would never question how his level, the way intensity of his play. But the part I mean by he wears his heart on his sleeve is he's disgusted by this. He's going to miss the playoffs. Year one was a failure. He's getting raked over the coals pretty good on social media, and I think it also means that he's done with this coach, and they're going to make the moves they need to make. They have to make do on this. They got to get another guy. They have to make do on this and take him into the next decade. And LeBron's got to do it for him. So it may not be this year, but I post on the Twitter. There's a guy that puts these odds up every now and then. And when we were arguing this, it was about an even bet. Mike was on it. He said, nope, even money, nope. Well, now Mike's a big favorite. You would have to lay $600 just to make $100 on the Lakers not making it. So Mike's a big favorite now. So he did a good job on that one. And let's see what happens. Tonight's a must-win for them. They got the Clippers, and I'm not going to be involved in the game, but I'm going to watch a little bit of it in between because the Sacramento game's on around the same time. But that's my take on the Lakers, Mike. Good job on that. Good call.
And I think that when you look
Mike,
at
it's a good call. Mike, it's a great call.
They have to win tonight. If they don't win tonight, they're in trouble. If they win tonight, the Nuggets are going to San Antonio. So San Antonio could easily lose that game because I think we all agree the Nuggets are the better team. But if the Lakers get the win and get it to 3.5, they still got a shot. They lose this game and the Spurs pull a mild upset by beating the Nuggets. You're at 5.5 with 18 to go, and 1964, I think, was the last time the team came back from that far back with that much time left, and that was baseball. All right.
Well, can I say this? My faith fails in the NBA more than in the Lakers and LeBron. I agree with you, Bobby. LeBron, I think he still wants to win. I think he's disenchanted with the way things are turning out in L.A. right now. I don't think he's a big fan of Luke Walton, and Luke Walton's days are numbered. But I think that my faith fails in the NBA that I think they will find a way to put the Lakers in the 8th spot. If it's doable. I mean, you can't
but
obviously.
Steve, even in the 8th spot, that series is going to be so one-sided. People might watch a game or two, but after that, nobody cares.
But Mike, for television, do you really not think that Curry versus LeBron, Golden State versus Lakers is not a made-for-television event?
It's a made-for-television event, but you know what? Nobody cares because it is a complete, utter mismatch.
All right.
What it's going to be is the Warriors are going to win 4 straight games, and in all 4 games, they're going to be up by 15 to 20 points at halftime, and it's not even going to be relevant. I mean, LeBron James, I think this, Steve, you said it all last year when initially you thought it was a bad idea for the Lakers because you thought LeBron was setting himself up for after basketball. And this is what this looks like. And Bobby, I know you think they're going to win it all or make a big run within the next 3 years, but my point is this. He's 34 years old, and he now selectively plays defense. That's not the guy you're going to build a championship around.
Well, yeah, but, he deserves the right to come back next year and see how this thing goes in year 2. One thing my son points this out to me. He's a big LeBron guy, and we talk sometimes, not recently, but we have talked a lot about that. His last 2 years in Cleveland, you talk about a guy pouring his heart out. He poured his heart out to win that one title and get him again back there and lose. At his age and his body, all the games that he played 2 years in a row. Do you know he led the most he's ever played? His own personal minutes was last year in year 16 for his city, Cleveland.
Which is exactly my point.
Exactly your point. But I think he could, rebound next year. Why not? This year's been a bad year, and his body maybe isn't, where he would like it, and he's still trying to get into the playoffs. It's not going to happen. So we'll just retool, see what they do in the off season. We'll see what Magic can come up with, and try it again. If you think he's done in terms of at least trying, that's no way.
He's done.
You're wrong there.
It doesn't matter if you try or not.
I'll say this. And I'm going to defend Mike on this one, Bobby. I think the distractions out here are taking him away from the game of basketball. He's producing. He's got a million-mile walk or, mile. He's got TV shows. He's got movies he's producing. He's gotten into Hollywood. I think the distractions are significant enough, and the age combination with that are enough I agree with Mike. I think he just is I think he snookered the Lakers and got his home in Brentwood, which is a beautiful home. I just think he's not into it anymore. He's got his rings. He did what he wanted to do for the city of Cleveland. And I just think if the Lakers win, Bobby, which I think the Lakers have a nucleus, it's probably going to be without LeBron being a factor.
Or it's as LeBron being the third or fourth guy in the wheel. But
exactly.
My point is this.
Spot on.
And
right.
He's played 16 years. And
right.
I know he didn't play in college, but he's playing 100 games a year as opposed to 30 in college. So he's at 34 years old, but to me, he's probably the body of a 38 or 39-year-old. And it's not a shot at LeBron because Michael Jordan got old. I didn't see the Wizards going to the playoffs. Larry Bird's back got bad. He didn't make it to the playoffs no more. So, it's not a knock on LeBron. I think he's one of the top 10 players of all time. At worst, top 15. But he's done. I haven't seen anybody, Bobby, at this age to have this problem with injuries and to just play defense when he feels like it, who all of a sudden the next year comes out and is what he was 2 years ago. It just usually doesn't happen. If he's 28 or 29, he's got an injury problem, I can see it. But 16 years in, it's going to be hard to rebound like that.
Yeah, I don't
think that he takes care of himself like Tom Brady takes care of himself.
I don't think
Tom Brady
do, though.
Exactly, you're
Neither
right.
did Michael Jordan.
But you look at, we all marvel at Tom Brady being 41, 42 and still winning Super Bowls. I'm in LA. I see TMZ. I see all the, Access Hollywood. LeBron is out partying, going to dinner, doing things, and enjoying the life of being a celebrity in Los Angeles, which is the mega capital of being a celebrity. And Brady just kind of quietly, he sold his LA home. He had a home, he had a beautiful, big, huge home. And he's got rid of it and said, I'm out of LA. I'm going back to Boston. I'm going to focus. I'm going to eat right. I'm going to do what do you do, Mike? What's the diet you use?
He doesn't use that completely because he does have some eggs. So he has some dairy.
That's some eggs. So, but still, he watches. Yeah, but he's conscious of his physicality, which I don't see LeBron doing that. And he's aging. And I just think that the days of LeBron James and the Lakers, he got what he wanted. He got to Hollywood, and he's out here now, and he's doing other things.
All right, let's wrap it up with On This Day because I have a chiropractor's appointment at 2:00. So we get about 5 or 10 minutes. What do you got on this day?
And we have a NASCAR. We have a NASCAR show at 2:00. So,
Bobby.
Yes, sir. Well, There's three on this days, but there's two of them that relate to boxing, and that's where I want to go, Mike, because that's where I'm most focused on when I talk to you, because I can learn most. They're both in 1968. And
because I'm an idiot, right? Thank you.
No, because there's no NASCAR.
Oh, no, because I'm
No, I want to talk about Babe Ruth. And Babe Ruth signs a 3-year contract. Mike, is that the first long-term contract ever signed in Major League Baseball?
I'm sure it wasn't, but it was the biggest.
All right.
Yeah, I was
going, Bobby.
Anyways, Mike, on 1968, both of these occurred. So I'm wanting to know if you know it. I'm sure they were on the same card. Did they used to do that back in those days?
They weren't on the same card.
Okay. Joe Frazier TKO's Buster Mathis in 11 for the heavyweight boxing title. And then also Italian boxer Nino Benvenuti regains his world middleweight title with a 15-round decision over American champion Emil Griffith at Madison Square Garden, the last of the famous trilogy of their fights. So I have a feeling that's the one you're going to center on. I don't know, but those both happened on this day, 1968.
I can hit on either one, but yeah, they were. I'm pretty sure they were in different places, but this was in 68. 68 was Madison Square Garden. They could have been on the same card. Actually, I don't know. Because they were, I don't know. I can't remember where Frazier fought Mathis at. It may have been on the same card, though. But actually, Benvenuti and Griffith was a controversial fight. If I remember right, it was like a majority decision. I think two guys had it like 8-6. The other guy had it like 7-7-1. Griffith, Benvenuti were both great fighters. Carlos Monzon was the actual middleweight champion at this point, I think. But Griffith was a great fighter. The thing about Griffith was he was the first man to come out and to admit to being openly gay. That's an interesting thing. There's actually a documentary that was made about this called like Ring of Fire or something. I forget what network did it, but it was like in the mid-2000s. It might have been USA Network. But it talks about him and his fight with Benny the Kid Paret, who they fought 3 times also. And Paret actually died, I think it was like 1962, 63. But Paret died in the fight. The fight was nationally televised. And if you remember like the old Friday night Gillette fights or Pabst Blue Ribbon Friday night fights, basically came to an end because of that. Because people didn't like watching their little black and white TVs and seeing somebody die in front of them, which really hurt boxing. Of course, it was brought back later by Howard Cosell, Wide World of Sports, Muhammad Ali. But Griffith, Benvenuti, both were great fighters. And if I remember right, I think Griffith won the first fight, or Benvenuti won the first fight. Griffith won the second fight, and in the third fight, Benvenuti beats him again there. So, yeah, the interesting thing to me is if you can find a documentary from USA about Emil Griffith, it is very good. And like I said, he admitted in that he was openly gay, which, come to find out, most people in boxing knew, but everybody kept it quiet. He was a damn good man. He died probably 7-8 years ago, maybe 10 years ago. But he was a hell of a fighter. So was Benvenuti. When you talk about Frazier and Mathis, this was the interesting to me. And actually, Frazier Mathis, I'm thinking it was in Philadelphia in 68, but I'm not 100% sure. Might have been. Hold on, I'm looking it up right now. Actually, they were on the same card. But the interesting thing here is Buster Mathis and Joe Frazier were both undefeated. And the interesting thing here is Frazier, of course, won the Olympic gold medal in 1964. But he did not make the team originally. Buster Mathis beat him to make the team in 64. But while fighting Frazier, he broke his hand. And when that broken hand basically took him out of action, Joe Frazier stepped in and won it in 1964, the Olympic gold medal. Frazier then comes out, within 4 years, he's won a portion of the title, because remember, Ali gets stripped in 1967, early 1968. So the New York State Athletic Commission starts their own World Heavyweight Championship search. And Joe Frazier wins it by beating Buster Frazier. And this was actually a close fight for 10 rounds. Mathis's problem was he had a tendency to be a bit of a lard ass. He would usually come in out of shape, but he had a ton of talent. I think he was like 23-0, 17 knockouts on this. And actually, this, from looking it up, was actually the main event. And Emil Griffith, Nino Benvenuti, the third fight was the undercard. Yeah. So when I look at this, if you watch the fight, Mathis was competitive with him. The problem with Mathis was he took a pretty good beating from Frazier. Never was quite the same after this fight. He fought guys like Ali, went the distance with him, but he was a guy that he always gave his best when he was in the ring, but not outside of the ring.
Mike, I'm watching this documentary right now. Emil fought like Ali. I'm watching the documentary. I got the documentary
early in his career
right now.
He looked a lot like
that.
Yeah,
I'm watching March 24th, 1962. I'm watching your documentary. He fought like Ali.
Yeah, and that's a great fight. And, I mean, Benny Kid Perret, I think, was Cuban, and that was right around the time they stopped the Cubans from coming over, but he was already over here. He was a great fighter, but the documentary is great. So that's about all I got on that, Bobby.
Well, just if I can ask one question, I know that Joe Frazier's son boxed. Did Buster Mathis' son box?
Yes.
Buster Mathis Jr.? Yeah,
yes.
Okay.
He fought George Foreman. He fought Mike Tyson. I think
who was the better boxer between the sons?
Well,
who was the better
definitely
boxer?
Buster Mathis Sr. Buster Mathis Sr.'s problem was he just never trained. I mean, he was a dude that weighed 300 pounds almost every fight he fought in. He was kind of sloppy. Yeah, so...
I mean, between the sons, the offspring,
between the
who
sons,
was the better...
Between the offspring of Buster Mathis and Joe Frazier? Joe Frazier's
Would you have
son.
to say Marvis Frazier?
Marvis was better. Marvis's problem is he's remembered for getting knocked out in like a minute and a half by Larry Holmes, and in about the same amount of time by Mike Tyson. But the problem with Marvis Frazier is Marvis Frazier was only like 5'11", 6 foot tall, weighed like 200 pounds when he's fighting Tyson and Holmes, who were significantly bigger than that. He was more of a cruiserweight. But his dad trained him, and his dad tried to force him into fighting the style he was. He tried to make him the heavyweight champion of the world like he was. Buster Mathis Jr. was a guy that there's really no huge significant wins in his career. And if you look at him, I mean, he beats Tyrell Biggs, who was a gold medalist in 1984 in the Olympics. But he beats him 10 years later when he was a little bit past his prime. He's a guy that fought Lou Savarese. He got knocked out by Savarese. He had a couple no contests with Obed Sullivan and Riddick Bowe, if I remember right. And probably his most famous fight was, I think it was like 95 or 96. He fought Mike Tyson. He was knocked down in the third round, couldn't beat the count. So, yeah, when you compare him, Marvis Frazier was much better. Marvis Frazier beat an older Joe Bugner. He did beat James Quick Tillis on the undercard of Larry Holmes, Carl the Truth Williams in 1984 or 85. I think it was 85 for the heavyweight title. That card was Holmes' last title defense before he lost to Michael Spinks in September of 1985. But yeah, Marvis Frazier was definitely better. So if there was a fight between the two families, the Fraziers would kick the shit out of them.
So Joe's vision was correct, though. His son did at one time hold the title.
No, he fought for the title. And he got destroyed in a round by Holmes, destroyed in a round by Tyson.
But he never did have a belt at any time.
He never had the actual heavyweight championship belt. I mean, but Marvis Frazier has went on to be successful outside of boxing. Actually, I got to interview him on our Legends show like 3 years ago. Really good dude. He's done a lot for boxing. I know. So Steve Risley. Steve Risley is my stud, too. Ain't that right, Stevie?
I'm watching this documentary.
I mean, everything we talked about with boxing
story right
football,
now. I'm watching the documentary right now.
It is. It's really good.
Talking about.
It's really good.
It is
everything
good.
We've talked.
You got to watch it.
Since I've known you guys, boxing and football gets brought up, and Mike's interviewed him. Mike's seen that. Mike's done that. He's coached that. oh yeah, I talked to that guy. It's really impressive, Mike.
And then when you go to basketball, Steve's got the ring, the Hall of Fame. So we are a good group. And then you can bet our way out of poverty. So together we're like the Three Musketeers.
And fans don't know it yet, but from a knowledge sports other than betting, that's my job to be knowledgeable. But baseball, I think your baseball fans will really like some of our baseball talks coming up. So that'll be fun.
Especially if we can talk about old baseball stuff, because that's my favorite. But all right,
look
guys.
at my banner on my Twitter.
I know.
You see it's the
red machine.
Hey, Bobby, I had a question for you. Bobby, you say your son's name is Nolan?
Nolan, yeah, like Nolan Ryan, yeah, Nolan.
That's what I wanted to hear. That's what Mike and I had this conversation on Twitter the other day about Nolan Ryan, because he ranked him. I still think Nolan Ryan is the most overpowering pitcher that ever played the game. Now, Mike, I give you what you say.
He was
You're
a great pitcher, but he was
overpowering.
You can't put him up there with guys like that won 500 games or Greg Maddux.
But those guys played on different teams.
Dude,
who threw 6 no-hitters?
Bullshit.
Who struck out 5,800 people?
Nolan Ryan played for the Astros in the 80s. He pitched in the playoffs 3 times. Don't give me this shit that he always played on bad teams.
He wasn't the best pitcher. He was the most overpowering pitcher.
No, Bob Gibson was the most overpowering.
Really?
Well,
that's a great choice too. I can't.
Or Sandy Koufax. Sandy Koufax pitching Game 7.
He was mechanical. Koufax outsmarted you.
No,
Koufax outsmarted you.
Really? Koufax threw the ball in the high 90s. He threw with smoke. And
Ryan threw in the hundreds.
Dude, I don't care, because you know what? Nolan Ryan also walked 3 times more people than the second closest guy that ever lived. Sandy Koufax in 1965 won Game 5 at a World Series. 2 days later, on 2 days rest, throws a shutout one-hitter against a Minnesota Twins team that was loaded with Herman Killebrew, Tony Oliva. I mean, they could hit, and he completely shut them down. You look at 1968, Bob Gibson in the World Series. I think that they were consistently more powerful. Now, I believe this. When Nolan Ryan was on, he was untouchable. I just don't think he was on as much as those other guys.
I agree, but he was the most. Mike, I don't disagree.
Well, they quit trying to bust my balls on it.
Who was the pitcher that people feared? I'm not busting your balls. I'm just having a discussion with you.
Walter Johnson.
But who did people fear to get in the? It's
Walter
not Nolan
Johnson.
Ryan that people feared the most.
The big train.
To get in the box
and how about
and
this?
Say,
Walter
I don't
Johnson,
want to face Nolan Ryan's fastball.
Walter Johnson was consistently
Is that not
on
fair?
the worst teams. I think it's fair for everybody in the top 10. That's why they're in the top 10.
Okay.
Hey, you want to know?
I mean, but Mike, do you agree that Nolan Ryan's records are probably some of the records that are going to stand the test of time for all of eternity?
Steve? I think this. When you look at pitching records, especially for starting pitchers, I think that pretty much everything you see as a record now is going to stand, just because of the way the game has changed.
Okay, and you said something that was interesting to me. So when he pitched for the Mets, he was a relief pitcher for the Mets, correct, in '69?
Yeah.
And then he turned into a starting pitcher, correct?
Yeah, like 72, 73 with the Angels, wasn't it, Bobby?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And
then
you guys want to know
what?
I love Nolan Ryan, and this is no slight, but the thing that was amazing too is that he ended up pitching those last 6, 7, 8 years with the Rangers. That was unbelievable at his age. But we know now what we didn't know then. His teammates on those late '80s Rangers were Pudge, Rodriguez, Canseco, and Palmeiro. So now we know.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk.
Mike, when did Nolan get most of his 300 wins? When did those wins come?
Probably with the Astros, wasn't it, Bobby? Bobby probably knows more about Ryan than I do, but
I
remember Ryan.
Actually,
most of his numbers were with the Angels. Four of the no-hitters were with the Angels.
But we're talking about the majority of his wins.
His wins.
Angels.
Because his best season was 1981.
With the Astros, but that was where he got traded. He was the first $1 million.
Question Go ahead, Bobby. I'm sorry. I apologize.
He was
just passionate about. I get passionate about things when I talk. So.
Oh yeah, he was the first $1 million starting pitcher. Buzzy Bavasi said he wasn't going to pay 7 figures for a starting pitcher, and so Ryan got there in 1981, and he played for 10 more years.
Well, see, the thing that hurts him is you do have to look at stats. I mean, when you look at the stats and his win-loss record, I mean, he was usually barely above 500. And I know a lot of that's because the team wasn't quite as good. And you can see that
he never came out of the game, Mike.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Never came
but
out
the team,
of the game. You know,
but nobody did back
he
then.
Went 9 innings. True, but I mean, he even more than anybody. He never came out of the game. He'd punch you out if you tried to take him out of the game. He took the ball and was going to go 9 innings, and he lost how many times? 2-1, 2-1, 2-1. You know, here's another interesting stat. He has the most no-hitters. We all know that. The most strikeout. He has the most everything of everything, and those kind of numbers. But did you guys know? I'm guessing on this, but my point is right. Something like 19 one-hitters.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Actually, I watched him throw a one-hit shutout in 1979 against the Yankees on Monday Night Baseball.
Oh, so that was great. Cosell and Cosell and who? Cosell and
who was that?
Gifford did it too because they wanted Gifford on there just as a talking head. But I mean,
it was. I think it was Bob Uecker.
You're not
Cosell.
Gifford. It might have been Uecker, yeah, but I know Gifford did something in that baseball. You didn't know shit about baseball.
That's what you call me, Bobby's a talking head. So
no.
problem.
That is the true color that you're thinking of. When I say your color, you're Madden color. You're Collinsworth color. There's a difference in color.
Oh, baby, I'm Dick Vitale. I know it's PT, baby. I got it all going. Nolan Ryan was the greatest pitcher of all time, baby. He's PT player. Okay.
Hey. Vitale's favorite team is the Rays.
So,
got season tickets to those guys.
Mike.
Yeah.
Can I just ask you a question? Because, and I asked this to you on Twitter, and we were talking back and forth, or on texting. Tom Seaver and Nolan Ryan. Who's the better pitcher?
Tom Seaver.
Really? Because he played for the Reds?
No, because he's fucking.
He was on the 75, 76.
No, he wasn't.
He was part of that.
On the 75, 76 Reds.
He wasn't part of the Big Red Machine. He was after that, right? He came.
Yeah, he was. They traded for him in 77.
All right. So had Nolan Ryan been a part of the Big Red Machine, would he have gotten to 400 wins?
Probably not. I mean, in those years, he was still winning 20 games. There was a better chance Sparky would have pulled him at some point, but. He would have pulled him. Sparky would have pulled him, and he would have had a lot less innings, and he would have preserved him a lot better. Yeah, and you probably wouldn't have had the records. But the thing about Tom Seaver is this. This is a dude that won 311 games, and his career ERA is 2.8. And he was a big-time pitcher.
No, and I love Tom Seaver. I'm not knocking Tom Seaver at all.
Listen to these numbers. 1969, and this is after they, lowered the mound to help the pitchers. Or to help the hitters, he was 25-7 with a 2.2 ERA. And you talk about playing on bad teams. Outside of 69 and 73, the Mets weren't the greatest team in the world. He goes to Cincinnati, and I remember in 77, he went 14-3. You could buy that with what he did with the Mets. He was 21-6 that year. And this is a dude that in 1985, almost 20 years after he started, was still winning 16 games. I think Tom Seaver was about as good as any pitcher I ever saw.
I'm not knocking Tom Seaver at all. I agree entirely. I'm just saying I think Nolan Ryan was on the Astros, was J.R. Richard there when Nolan Ryan was there? Were they together?
Well, yes. Not really, because Ryan got there in 80, so they were together for like 4 months. But then, if you remember, right around the All-Star break in 80, wasn't that when Richard had a stroke? Yeah,
aneurysm. Yeah, he had a brain aneurysm. But they were together
they were
for that
close.
year.
They were there for
the
a few
All-Star
months.
game that year. They were teammates in the All-Star game, and the catcher in the bullpen, warming up the starting pitcher, warming up all those guys, was a guy named Mark Cressy. Mark Cressy was a 21-year bullpen coach for the Dodgers for Tommy Lasorda. I know him really well. Kids played for him. I very friendly with him. I've done baseball camps with him. He was in the bullpen warming up. All those guys.
Doesn't he run the Mark Cressy School of Baseball too?
He sure does, and that thing is probably the most successful youth baseball camp in America.
Yeah,
and he's 5-6 locations here in Southern California, and he's getting older now. I don't know his involvement. I've lost touch a little bit the last 5 or 10 years, but he's a great guy. And anyways, I asked him a question. I said, J.R. Richard, Nolan Ryan. He said Nolan Ryan's fastball, the way it rose up, was unbelievable.
Yeah, and the problem with Richard was he was coming from 6'8" with those long ass arms, so they both give you different problems.
Right. And what's really sad, you guys all know the J.R. Richards story. You know, he later on, went through all the health stuff, but then they found him sleeping underneath the freeways here in L.A., Mike. Or right there off the 101. So it's kind of sad. But anyways, guys, good stuff. And Mike, I want to just correct one thing. When they raised the mound.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, I raised the mound, But anyways, good stuff, guys.
See, Mike, I wasn't going to correct that. Mike, I was not going to correct that. I was going to let you slide that.
You didn't know.
No.
But here we go.
No,
We're going to wrap it up now. All right, guys. We will be back tomorrow with Brian Ralph to talk college basketball. And at the end of the show with Bobby, Wednesday we'll have the Singing Cowboy, former Washington Redskins Super Bowl 7, and more importantly to me and Steve, one of the stars of North Dallas 40, Jeff Severson will be on this show. Thursday.
Can I make one announcement? Sadly.
What?
For those of you that grew up iconically in TV in the 90s, which I'm a big TV buff. So Luke Perry passed away. Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah. That's
at the age of 52.
The 52, unfortunate tragedy. And, iconic 90210 was an iconic television show. Kind of started the whole thing of reality TV, so to speak, although it was scripted.
Wow.
It was reality. But he passed away this morning from a stroke at age 52. So sad moment.
All right, guys. We're going to wrap it up. Remember, you can hear all of our shows on iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Spreaker, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you find sports podcasts, you'll find The Grueling Truth. So for Randy Cross, Anthony Cervino, Bobby Sheridan, Steve Risley, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.